Hi, I'm Em.
And my name is Bea.
And this is
Fangirls Anonymous. A quick warning, this podcast is not for kids.
We get into some pretty explicit stuff.
But if you're still with us and into that, welcome.
Skullie by the Sea, we'll just call her Skully, is a video essayist, YouTuber, and fandom geek. She has produced a number of video essays, her top video being about the growth of Prince Naveen's character in The Princess and the Frog with over 700,000 views. Her content includes, but is not limited to, an analysis on why we love angsty boys, in-depth ratings of daddy characters from Harry Potter, and the controversy of Loki Sylvie from the recent Loki television show. We're interviewing her today to talk about her experience as not only a YouTuber, but a YouTuber that creates videos about fandom, fandom culture, and media. Welcome to the show, Skully, and thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
So, we are here to interview you.
You sure
But
are.
I did want to tell you how I found your channel.
So please tell me.
I did originally find your video on Naveen, but as I was looking through your channel after seeing that video and being like, what else does she have? I found that video about the daddies from Harry Potter, and I was completely charmed. I was like, this is amazing. This only has 2,000 views. How is that possible? And so I definitely subscribed after that. And I even wrote a comment that was like, thank you so much. This is the hardest I've laughed in a while.
I actually do remember your comment.
Amazing. I loved it. But then it wasn't until I saw that slash that you wrote in between Loki and Sylvie in your being mad about Loki Sylvie does not make you biphobic video that I was like, oh my gosh, you know about fanfiction and fandom. So then I asked you to guest, and thank you for saying yes.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've been into like fandom and shipping and all of that since I was probably like 10 or 11 years old.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it started. Are either of you familiar with the show Merlin?
Yep.
Do you know that show that was like it was like a BBC? Yeah. Okay. So I remember. So for those of you who don't know, it is a show that was produced by the BBC, I believe in like the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about a young Merlin, a young sorcerer named Merlin. And it's like a retelling of the Arthur, tales, where Merlin and Arthur are both young, strapping men in their early 20s, which, as a preteen was enjoyable for me to watch.
Absolutely.
For a lot of reasons. But it had fantasy, it had like that, quirky British humor, costumes were amazing. They shot it in these like the actual castles like in England, or maybe it was Scotland or something, but in Europe, and it was just like a really fun show. But I remember being really impatient because it came out in England before it was aired in the US. So I binged all the episodes with my sister and with my dad, and I was like, I want more, and I like looked online and I found Tumblr, and then like I wrote from there.
Yeah, the looking for more is the first dangerous step we all take.
Yes, correct. That's how you dive head first. But yeah, and then that was my first introduction to like fan fiction and like gay ships and ships that weren't necessarily canon, but you could really see like these characters getting together, like the tension and the possibility was there. So that was kind of like where it started. That's my origin story of fandom.
Yeah, I mean, they're both one side of the same coin, so it makes sense.
Just follow up on that because you got me thinking. So I know how my fandom experience goes, and I'm just wondering off the top of your head, were you the sort of person who dove in and for a while you were just like, this is the coolest thing ever, but I'm kind of staying in my lane in this fandom? Or were you the sort of person who went, oh wait, this is a thing now, and sort of started reaching out for all these other fandoms? Because Merlin was, you got the British thing, so you could go over to Doctor Who, or it was a fantasy thing, so in a couple years you could do Teen Wolf. I mean, it was a jumping off point for a lot of different places. So I'm just wondering.
For me, and this has kind of persisted, where whenever I get involved in fandom, I always have one that I focused like 90% of my energy in at one time, which I feel like a lot of people are able to like spread themselves across multiple fandoms, and that's like enjoyable for them. But I don't know if it's because I get like overwhelmed. I tend to like hyperfixate on certain media where I will fully invest. I will read all the source material, and that's all I will talk about, all I will think about for like months. And I might like passively enjoy like some other fandoms. So at the time, I was very invested in Merlin. My sister really loved like Doctor Who and all that. I watched a little bit of Supernatural Supernatural, and I was kind of like passively involved in that, but for many years it was like just Merlin. And then, you know, I got a little bit older and I kind of like stepped away from Tumblr for a while after Merlin ended. And then I got back into it when the Marvel movies started coming out. And then that was like my fixation. And then it was like Marvel, 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 as it goes, as it goes. But then I didn't watch Sherlock until, because I feel like a lot of people, there was like the super Wholock era.
Oh God, don't even bring it up.
2013, where like everybody was like watching those 3 shows. And I actually didn't start watching Sherlock until like college, which I feel like I might be in the minority there. But I really enjoyed it. I loved it. But I feel like I maybe missed the mark a little bit. I missed the golden era of Sherlock.
The last 2 seasons are just
ooh.
Yeah.
Good to know.
It could be argued that you didn't miss the golden era, you just missed all of the hype and you got all of the good stuff knowing what came at the end.
That's super true, yeah. I feel like maybe it's because I'm just super not into people telling me what to do. But when things are like yeah, well, like when things are like really I'm like such a brat sometimes. Like like people tell me to do things even if it's like good for me and they're like, I don't want to do it. Like they're like, you should drink more water, and I'm like, don't tell me what to do. Like
well, now I don't want to do it anymore.
Now I'm gonna spite you. When things are like overwhelmingly popular and there's like everybody's telling me to watch this one thing, I don't know. There's part of me that's like, well, maybe I don't want to watch it, which is so ironic because that's all I do on my YouTube channel is just like, here's this really great thing that you should pay attention to. Like, but
yeah, definitely. I would say that Merlin wasn't necessarily like the most popular TV show. A quick question, spoilers on Merlin, like spoilers. Mm-hmm. Like on a percentage scale, how wrecked were you the very last moment of the last episode?
I'm not even joking. I cried for like 4 days. I kept like thinking about it. Like I kept getting like triggered. I would see like a river, like, you know, at the end when he like walks by the like the trees and like the castle in the background. I would like walk by like a river and I'd be like, oh, Merlin. And I would be like so sad. Like
and then that lorry drove by, or like British people would say lorry. We say truck.
Yeah. I just and the only feeling I can compare it to was after I watched Infinity War for the first time and like leaving that theater and like that recurring feeling of dread of like, oh, I've just got to sit in this. Like, oh no. So yes, it was an emotional roller coaster.
So speaking of Marvel, are you in any big ships with Marvel? And if so, who are they?
I mean, Steve and Bucky.
Yeah, Stucky's the shit. Yeah.
I'm fucking so ride or die. And I love, this is the thing, and like people are like, oh, you didn't want Steve to have a happy ending. It's like, okay, yes, obviously I did. But think about it from like a rational point of view. And I love Peggy as a character. I love Peggy Carter. Mm-hmm. I loved the first season of her TV show. I thought it was super well done and really fun and interesting. I wish like we could have seen more from Peggy. But like if I think about it, I'm like, okay, these two were together for like 2 decades, right? I'm with you till the end of the line. That was like their whole thing. I'm not gonna leave you. It's you and me, pal. Like already like very gay. And then it's like he knows this woman for what, like a month at most? Like if that. A very pretty woman, very beautiful, talented, strong, amazing woman. But like, you know, for a month and you're gonna like go back on your bro of 2 decades that like you're definitely in love with. And to like live out your life with this British woman who I believe had like was already in the process of moving on and all that. I don't know. And then we could go into the fact that like Steve's whole character arc was him being the man out of time and adjusting to present day and having to build relationships, and that was like a really big deal for him to like fully adjust to present day and be able to acclimate again, and then all of that growth kind of being negated by him going back in time. So like I have a lot of problems with that, but that's just me being petty.
No, honestly, everybody I've ever talked to about his ending, the one thing that never made sense was him basically going, see these 10 years of character growth I had? They mean nothing. I'm going back to where I was before the Avengers movie.
Psych. Just kidding. Like, we're gonna...
Yeah.
Rewind.
So, like, I would say, like, him going back in time to be with Peggy isn't even good enough for bad fan fiction. Like,
oh my god, no, literally. That's so funny that you say that, because I was like watching it and I was like, I feel like this is like bad fan fiction. Like,
yeah, but it's not even bad fan fiction is better than that, in my opinion. 13-year-old young girls in their bedroom know him better than the people who wrote him.
And I think more importantly, they know Peggy better, because if the only fic I've ever seen that where they're like, okay, and he has to be with Peggy, is they'll bring Peggy forward in time rather than negating everything that happened in Agent Carter. They're like, this is a completely different multiverse.
It didn't even occur to me that everything in Agent Carter is like superfluous now. Oh my god, that makes me so angry. The second season, like, I watched bits and pieces of the second season, and like, it wasn't really that great. I feel like the writing could have been better, but I feel like the first season of Agent Carter was so good. Like, I enjoyed it so much. I thought it was funny. I loved young Howard Stark being this, you know, like, playboy and like, you know, playing with people's hearts and being like a rampant, like, unethical, like, capitalist, and Peggy calling him out on his shit. I loved him. Like, that scene where have you guys seen that show, Agent Carter?
Sorry, I haven't.
Okay, well, I'm gonna explain this little scene to you that just like has rocked me to my core. It's so good. Where Peggy finds out that Howard has been keeping a vial of Steve's blood. And it's the ultimate betrayal for Peggy, because she trusted Howard, and like, Howard and Peggy, like, they both loved Steve so much, and Howard kept it because he was like, Steve was the only thing that I helped create that didn't like hurt people. Like, Steve was the only thing that I helped create that like actually brought joy and like peace to the world, and I like him not being able to let go of that. And Peggy being like, you fucking moron, like, if this gets into the wrong hands, like, what could happen? She's like, I trusted you, how dare you? And he's like, you're getting emotional and all these things, and she, yeah, like, it's like a whole blow up. And he basically gives this like monologue about how his parents grew up poor and his mother sewed shirtwaists for a living, and he had to climb the corporate ladder, and like, you can't climb the corporate ladder without like, you know, stepping on a few toes or all these things, and how like unethical capitalism is. And it's like, oh, it's like so good. It's so passionate and intense, and it's such a good portrayal of like Howard is a character and the reason why he is the way he is, and the building on their relationship. It's so good. But that makes me so mad because none of it means anything anymore now, because Steve went back in time.
Well, didn't he go back in time to like 1954 or something to give her time to do all of the things that she needed to do?
I don't know that they ever actually tell you one way or the other.
Yeah, it's freaking ridiculous, and I hate it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily disclosed. Anyway, I will send you a clip of that scene. It is so good. Like, it's
we will put it in the show notes because that's fascinating. Cool. So, just like quick little question. Hello, ladies, men, and non-binary friends. Were you inspired by Thomas Sanders' Guys, Gals, and Non-Binary Pals?
Oh my god, it's so funny because I know Thomas Sanders from like Vine. Yeah. And I did not know that was his intro.
Amazing!
I will tell you exactly where it originated from. I was watching a Jenna Marbles video, and this was like right when I started my channel. And You've
been on YouTube for like 2 years, right?
Yeah, I think it was like just 2 years. And I was trying to think of like an intro that was like inclusive, because I didn't want to be like, hey guys, like you know, like, because I'm like, everybody does that, and also, hey guys, like, I don't want to address guys. I would like to address preferably everyone else. And I was trying to think, I was like, and Jenna Marbles, and I don't even remember the video that it was, and she was like, I'm here for all of my boys and my ladies and my non-binary friends. And I was like, boys, ladies, non-binary friends. Ladies, boys, non-binary friends. Ladies, men, non-binary friends. I was like, oh, that's it. That's the intro. So Jenna Marbles, wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for letting me create my intro.
That is so cool. I love that.
I love it too. It's like a cute little, it doesn't quite rhyme, but it's like just enough where it's like, it kind of worked. Mm-hmm. It kind of made sense.
Yeah, it's alliterative, I would say, maybe. Yeah, Jenna Marbles is absolutely amazing, and I hope she is doing well, because she has stopped making YouTube videos and we can't know.
What an icon, though. I mean, she seems happy. And like Julian seems happy and all that, because he still does like videos and Twitch streaming and all that. I occasionally see some of his like Twitch highlights like on my TikTok or something if someone will like repost them. So I hope they're doing well.
Yeah, Bea and I are not RPF shippers at all, but I absolutely adore Julian, Solomita, and Jenna Marbles. Like,
oh yeah, no, like I don't ship people in real life. I mean, they're engaged now. Did you guys know that?
I did, and I cried when well, not really cried, but I was so happy when I heard.
Yeah, I know. I like genuinely like. I think they're just such a good example of like people online with grace and respect and the kind of presence that I feel like more people online should try to embody, because they're very respectful and they're fun, but they don't like, their humor never like really like hurts anybody, you know? I mean, there's like problematic shit from before, but like in the past like year or two, like it's just their content is very wholesome, and they carry a presence online where there's not this entitlement.
Yeah.
They seem very gracious and just, you know, grateful for their platform and their audiences, and I think that is so needed in the online space now more than ever.
Do you feel that you are also a YouTuber of that type?
I can only hope. I try to respond to like as many comments as I can, and I know that that's not the only like measurement of that, but I like how my excitement over people's like response to my videos in terms of like them adding their own theories or being like, oh, like this was a really cool insight, like I never would have thought of this before, like those comments still make me feel the same way that they did when I first started my channel. And I try to practice like gratitude and appreciation in all aspects of my life, because it's made me a happier person. And I think it's made me more just like appreciative of like what I have, because I know that like I think about it's very easy for us to be hard on ourselves and be like, well, you know, I'm here, but like I'm not there. Like I want to be there. Why? Like I want to have 100,000 subscribers, and I don't have that yet, and I want that. You know, it's very easy to get in that mindset of seeing other people and saying I want that. But thinking about like me, like a year ago, I never would have thought I would have had this many subscribers by now, and I try to be in that mindset of like, well, you never thought you'd get here, and like that's pretty fucking cool that you made it this far, that like you've been able to do this. Look at the work that you've done. That's pretty awesome. Taking that as it is and just being like, this is a cool thing that I did, and I want to make sure that I don't take that for granted, you know?
Absolutely. That's so cool.
So bouncing off that idea of your presence on YouTube as a platform, have you noticed there's a big fandom presence on YouTube? Like, do you interact with other people who seem to sort of be coming from that background when they interact with you as a YouTuber?
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying earlier, kind of the start of fandom is wanting more, like seeing the source material, or if you're, you know, if you're a comic book reader, if you read like novels or anything, of enjoying the source material, television, movies, whatever, and enjoying it and wanting to see more. So, you know, you watch interviews of your favorite actors, you go online and see people's theories, and you continue to consume that content in hopes that it will kind of like scratch that itch of like wanting to enjoy more. So that's a huge part of it, yeah, of just like wanting more. And I think with different fandoms, I see more prevalence on like different platforms. So for example, Marvel, there's like so many Marvel videos like on YouTube. There's so many. I mean, the Marvel fandom is huge now. Like there's pretty much everyone. You can like pull someone off the street and they've seen at least one like Marvel movie. And then you have all the way up to the people who have seen all the movies like 10 times, and they like, you know, they've been to like Disney World, and they go to like the Avengers compound, and they, you know, they write fan fiction and all these things. But I think Marvel in particular, fandom is like huge. Disney as well. Like Disney on YouTube is huge, and it's more with like older audiences. I started watching My Hero Academia like a couple months ago. It was probably like end of June. My friend introduced it to me. We were smoking weed, and she was like, "You're gonna love anime," and I was like, "I really don't think I will," because I was, you know, I didn't know anything about it, but I was like, it doesn't seem like something I would like. And she's like, "Okay, but you liked Sky High," and I was like, "Yeah, Sky High is one of my like favorite movies ever." And she was like, "Okay, well, think of like Sky High, but like an anime." And the main teacher is like really hot. You're gonna simp for him like super quick. And I was like, fine, because I'm like, you know, waxed out of my mind, and I'm like, all right, fine. So then we started the first episode, and I'm hooked immediately. Like I was also like I said, under the influence Anime in general is just like beautiful. In most cases, it's incredibly colorful and artistic, and like not all animes. There are some more like darker animes like Death Note or like Attack on Titan or anything like that. But My Hero, you know, Fruits Basket, all those ones, they're so bright and colorful and fun. And I was just like vibing. I was like, yes, 100% yes. We get through the first episode. We were like halfway through the second episode, and I was like, fuck. And she was like, what? And I was like, I'm gonna have to binge this whole thing. Like, I'm gonna have to watch all of it. Like, the writing was so good, and I was so not expecting it, because I was like, it's anime. It's gonna be, like, goofy and kooky and, like, you know, whatever. I was so wrong. Like, it sucked me in immediately. I binged the whole show in 2 weeks. That is not an exaggeration. I literally watched it, like, every night with my partner, who had seen it already. Yeah. I binged the whole show. It's like, you know, 5 seasons now. In 2 weeks. And then it was the whole, like, the fandom, the hyperfixation, the fandom need set in. And I was like, all right, where can I find more content? And then I was like, okay. I went on TikTok, because TikTok listens to everything. And I immediately start getting TikToks from the My Hero fandom. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like engaging, and I'm like, okay, this is cool, this is fun. And I was like, I feel like I could add something to this. And the content creator in me started, like, the little content gremlin was like bouncing around inside me, was like, you should make something, you should make some content. I started a TikTok specifically for My Hero content.
Holy crap.
I started 3 months ago, and I am at 9,255 followers.
Shit, dude.
Which is crazy. But there's so many people that consume not only My Hero content, but anime content on TikTok. Like, the anime, like, fandom is so alive and well on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Where, like, I'll find some videos on YouTube, but a lot of them have, like, 5K views, 10K views, where, like, those videos don't do as well on YouTube because the audiences are older, and, like, anime is generally for younger audiences. But on TikTok, it is alive and well. Like, there are, you know, tons of accounts with over, like, 1 million followers, and they post 3 times a day, and it's all very active. But it was so easy to, like, grow that account. And I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, I got to 9,000 followers in, like, 3 months on TikTok, and it took me, like, 2 years to get, like, 17,000. I was like, but again, I'm like, the grateful gremlin inside me. I'm like, okay, you gotta be grateful for what you have. It's really cool. Like, it's good, you know. It's a new platform. People grow really quickly, whatever. But I think depending on where you post, and then, like, Tumblr, that's a whole other thing, where I find maybe, like, older audiences, but it's really just, like, people in their, like, 20s and 30s are pretty active on Tumblr. And, like, the Mandalorian fandom, very, very active. And there are a ton of, like, really well-written fan fictions by, like, these, like, 30-year-old women that are just, they're written really well. Like, they're too good for fan fiction. Like, they're so good.
Right?
Like, no, it's, like, so true. Like, I get so excited when I'm like, because I have, like, my favorites that I follow. Mothandpigeon on Tumblr is, like, really, really good for any sort of, like, Pedro Pascal fandom fan fiction.
Do you know about Ace Din Djarin?
No, not really.
Ace Din Djarin is a Tumblr user account, and she is really good. I'm actually writing a fic with her right now.
That's awesome. Love that.
You should find her as well. Anyway, sorry.
Basically, sorry, that was an unnecessarily long answer. But yes, fandoms I find are very active on all platforms of social media. It kind of depends on, like, the age range of the fandom, of like, where you will find them. So, you know, Avatar, Marvel, even, like, anything Star Wars or Disney, you could find all of them on YouTube. And then TikTok is, like, My Hero, any sort of, like, I mean, Marvel's pretty active on TikTok too, and, like, Harry Potter and all that. But generally speaking, anime is, like, the biggest on TikTok. Like, it's, like, they're very, very active.
So you've seen One Punch Man and Cowboy Bebop, right?
No, I haven't. This is the thing. My anime journey started, like, 3 months ago. So I finished My Hero, and I've, like, read all the manga. This is, like, I dove straight in. Like, this is what I'm telling you. Like, whenever I fixate on fandom, like, I haven't read anything Marvel or Mandalorian literally since I started My Hero. When I fixate on something, that is like, that's genuinely like the only thing I look at for however long I'm fixated on it. But anyway, I finished My Hero. I read all the manga. I'm participating in the fandom, and I just started Death Note. I'm like halfway through Death Note with my partner. I'm watching with my partner, and because he had like seen it all before, so we're watching it together. And I love L so much. His like goofy, like, this is the thing. Any sort of like sleepy, depressed boy has my heart by the fucking throat. Like, it's like any like angsty boy that's just like kind of tired and depressed.
That's why you love the teacher from My Hero.
Aizawa has me by the throat. So funny. I was watching it.
Wait, no, Siri's black too. Sorry, I just need to put that out
Yes. Oh my god.
And Din.
All of them. And I've noticed a trend too. It's all of like the grumpy, reluctant, like parental figures, like the
oh my god, me too though.
Any like DILFs or like wannabe DILFs, I'm just like, I'm there immediately. Any like adopted dads, immediately.
I took a quiz once. The quiz was like, what do you find attractive in men? And it was like, you know what a DILF is and you want one.
Period.
Oh,
Period.
God.
I just want, like, they look so tired. I just want to like take care of them. Like, that's all it is. Like, I just,
and then in turn I want them to take care of me. Like, we take care of each other. Yes.
Correct. See, absolutely. You get it. You get it. It's the dance. It's the tango.
Exactly.
Like, that is exactly what it is. It's so funny because
scrumptious.
So my beautiful, wonderful, fantastic friend Sam, who introduced me to My Hero, bless her sweet, wonderful heart that I'm now fixated on this show. She told me, she was like, you're gonna love Aizawa. This is the teacher in My Hero. She's like, you're gonna love Aizawa. You're gonna simp for him so bad. He's great. You're gonna love him. The first scene that he is introduced, he looks like a fucking crackhead. I was like, Sam, are you kidding me? He's like curled up in a sleeping bag in the middle of the hallway. His eyes are bloodshot and his hair's a mess. I was like, Sam, are you fucking serious? She's like, just wait. And it was like 5 or 6 episodes later, and he was like beating the shit out of villains in this like moment. And he's like, he's got these like arms and like the way he just maneuvers, and he's got this like deep voice. And I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, fine, yes, I'm a dirty little simp, yes.
Tired, soft, violent men who also have the capability to love unconditionally. That is my crack.
Correct.
So, since one of your big strengths as a YouTuber is kind of your analysis, do you see that as sort of a natural extension of your participation in fandom? I know I feel like you might have already answered this, but I just want to know your thoughts on that. Do you feel like that's a good main way that you participate?
Yeah, I think so. As a woman in fandoms like Marvel in particular, I am occasionally told that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Really?
Yeah.
The audacity.
I know, right? Yeah, these people. But when I make videos, I like to provide damn near irrefutable evidence, ultimately supporting my opinion, where I have cited sources and I've, found like director's notes and interviews and all these things where I'm presenting my opinion, but it is backed by empirical data, if you will, that I have acquired via being in the fandom. I've also been really good at arguing my whole life, so that has definitely helped. But when you're in fandom, this is kind of like the joy and curse, is that the beauty of working in like fandom is that there's always going to be people that are interested in content coming from that fandom. They're going to be interested in the flow of content coming from that source, but they know their shit. Like, you can't fool them. So you have to provide evidence. Otherwise you're going to be picked apart by people that know better than you. And that's kind of what I've found, is that being involved in fandom has really helped me because I'm just passively more aware of the canon than I would be if I was a more casual viewer, if that makes sense.
Do you think that that's because you are using the platform of YouTube, or do you feel like do you feel like you're getting the same kind of feedback from other places that you're on, like TikTok?
Here's the thing with TikTok, it's not long form analysis.
I guess.
Yeah, with TikTok it's more of just like fun little like skits and like ship vids and like things like that, where it's a lot more like low stakes and it's not really backed by facts. But whenever I make a YouTube video, regardless of the fandom that I'm in, I always want to make sure I do my due diligence of like the lay of the land in the fandom. I like to know what other people are thinking just to better inform myself when I make videos. Because like, you know, even if I have a different opinion, even if I have a different viewpoint, I like to be made aware of what people might come at me with if they're in opposition. And that's the way I say it, it sounds kind of defensive, but I want everyone's opinion to be like included. I don't want people to think that like because it's not my opinion I don't care about it, you know? I like the idea of being aware of everybody's opinion and being like, hey, this is how I feel. I see you, I respect you, but this is how I feel.
Oh yeah, I mean that's just like the beginning of a good argument, though, I would say.
Oh yeah, like I said, we love a good persuasive essay callback.
Well, I think that's actually one of the reasons why I really love your videos, is because you cover all of your bases.
Thank you. You know,
yeah.
I do my gosh darn best. It is hard sometimes. There's a whole lot of source material in some of these fandoms. Oh my god.
Yeah, and sometimes opinions can be really complex. So like it's hard to really cover all the bases, but I feel as if you really do it, and it's awesome.
Thank you. That's very kind. I do my best.
So a lot of people gravitate toward your fandom videos and like talk about it. Like there's this kind of a certain way that people talk about fandom on Tumblr. Do you find that that kind of community can also exist on YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a wider funnel, as it were. Tumblr, I find, is like a very specific community. And while I do definitely, like just from some of the comments that I see, there are people where like I can tell these people are either writing fan fiction or into fan fiction when they leave a comment. So I definitely feel like I have some loyal Tumblr users in my audience, which I truly adore as a loyal Tumblr user. But yeah, I think YouTube just casts a wider net.
Would you like us to link your Tumblr account?
Oh, sure, if you want to.
Okay.
There's not a whole lot on there. It's all just like my hero brain rot right now. There's nothing interesting going on there. I don't really write publicly anymore. I'll like write for myself because I don't have like a background in writing. My background is in science, and I don't really even do that anymore. But
did you used to write fanfiction?
Yeah. Oh, I still do.
I didn't know. I didn't know.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I do. I write it for myself mostly, just because like, and it's good for me, I think, to practice writing, because especially like as an adult, where I'll write scripts for my like videos, but it is more conversational, where if I say it out loud and it makes sense, it doesn't really have to, as long as it's like passable grammatically, it doesn't have to be like, you know, super fine-tuned. Whereas like when I'm writing, it has to kind of flow and it has to like make sense. Yeah. So I like kind of as like a personal exercise of continuing to keep my like writing chops moderately sharp, and then also just like self-indulgent, you know, whatever.
Do you mind telling us what fandoms you write in?
Definitely My Hero, Mandalorian. I recently revisited a Merlin fanfic that I wrote a while ago. That is rough around the edges. Primarily, I mean, Mandalorian, anything Pedro Pascal, his characters are so different and they're so fun for me to write. I'm not done with it yet, but I have like one more episode left where I like binged the first 2 seasons of Narcos because I had never... Yeah, because I had heard of the show and it didn't like click for me that he was in it.
Boy, is he in it.
Oh, boy, is he in it. But I was like passively scrolling on Netflix and I was like, is that fucking Pedro Pascal? And I like opened it up and I was like, oh my fucking God, it's Pedro Pascal. I have to watch this right now. And my partner was like away for the weekend visiting his family. And I was like, I am all alone. I am just watching Pedro Pascal and enjoying this experience. And again, it was like the writing was just so much better than I thought it was going to be. Like, it was so compelling, and I've always really loved like mafia stories. I used to watch like mafia movies with my mom when I was 16. I come from like a very Italian background, so it's like, ooh, those are our people, like, you know, like very like, you know, we're very docile, but we're like, part of us is like, yeah, like fucking mafia and guns and shit, you know. But that very much gave me like the mafia vibe that I haven't felt in movies in a very, very long time. You know, I remember watching like, again, The Godfather is a freaking haul of a movie. It is really long and the pacing, I don't particularly think holds up very well compared to modern pacing of movies. But, you know, I could have an argument with a film critic named Greg over that for hours.
You could have an argument with M about it too, because M loves that film. I love it. It's okay.
I do love it. I do love it. It's just, for me, it's like, it's so long. But like, that was the start of it for me. And like, I love The Departed and like, you know, all this, like all these mafia films where I haven't seen modern, like I watched Black Mass and I was like, oh, this like probably could have been better. But then I watched Narcos and I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been needing. This is the itch that I needed scratching in the mafia genre.
So, speaking of Italians, have you seen Luca?
No! Okay, listen, I want to so badly because the gayness in it, I've seen little clips. And then Disney came out and was like, it's not gay. And then the whole fandom was like, don't tell us what to feel. Like, you're a jerk. Like, I do want to see it because I know it's meant for us.
It's meant for Italians?
I meant like the audience, but sure. It's meant for the gays. It's meant for the fellow queer people. And also, it just looks beautiful. It looks like a beautiful, just well done movie, you know?
Oh my God. I've seen it 6 times since June.
Very
and
nice.
Only because I've watched it individually with each of my family members. It wasn't like I would have only watched it like 3 times if I could have watched it like all at once with my family.
No, I've done that dance. I've done that dance. Where, I mean, it's a part of the fandom grind where you're like, you're interested in something and you're like, everybody needs to see this. I will watch it 1,000 times if I have to. Like,
I will say though, the fic surrounding it is already really good, and if you need Rex, I got them for you once you've seen the film.
Hook me up.
Of course. Anyway, no, Luca's the shit. You need to watch it immediately. I don't know what you've been doing with your life, but that's a movie you need to watch.
I've been attaching my heart to random 2-dimensional men.
Well, you will absolutely attach your heart to Massimo, the dad, in that film.
Oh, yes. Give me another 2-dimensional man to give my heart to.
So, do you have any top ships right now that you want to talk about?
I will die on the hill of like everybody needs to watch She-Ra on Netflix. It's so good. It's the only show that I've seen ubiquitously create queer ships that are so effortlessly woven into the story. Like, they're meaningful and they're funny and the tone is right and they're heartfelt and in my soul. Like, they're just like so good. But Catra and Adora, their whole arc, I think is just so fucking masterfully written by Noelle Stevenson that it changed like the show for me. Like, seeing it in retrospect, I was like, this is just like, it's so fucking good. This is like fucking art. So Catra and Adora in She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, and really any ship from that show is enjoyable and fun. Let's see, what are some like my hero ships that I like? I love Eraser Mike and the whole like Eraser Mike fam, which is Aizawa and Present Mike, who are 2 teachers at UA who have been like friends since childhood, and they ended up like losing a friend while they were in high school. Like, it used to be like the 3 of them together, and the idea that like they bonded through this trauma and were able to like forge on and like continue to form their relationship is just like really heartwarming for me. Another my hero ship that I really love is Shin Kami, which is Shinso and Kaminari, which you don't really see anything of until season 5, but they're really cute because they have the whole like grumpy sunshine vibe, which always gets me, where there's one who's like a little bit depressed, a little tired, a little sleepy, and the other one is just like really bubbly and kind and energetic, and like those ships always just like they got me by my heart so hard.
Everyone's gonna die. Oh, fun!
Yeah, and it's like I love the ones where it's like they're grumpy and they never smile, but like this is the one person that can get them to like give a little smile, like a little smirk, melts my soul. Like, it's so wholesome and sweet. And then, like, I love Stephen Bucky. Pretty much any Merlin ship. This is the thing, is like that. The other thing that show did is just like awakened my like pansexuality. What I thought then was bisexuality, but you know, literally any of those pairs of like Merlin and Arthur, Merlin and Morgana, Morgana and Gwen, Gwen and Arthur, like all of them. Like, I am such a multi-shipper at heart, where if I see like even a little scrap of chemistry with people, I'm like, oh, they could totally be together. Like.
Well, you and Bea could be best friends then, because Bea absolutely loves multi-shipping.
Yes. I just like, I love, and I love, I love the idea of characters growing together. Like the idea of growth and development through friendship or relationships. Like, I think that's so important in storytelling, where like, yeah, if it turns romantic, like that's really cool too. But even just like the idea of building relationships, I think just enhances a story so much. Like when I watch movies or television shows, the plot is superfluous to me if the characters suck. Like if the characters aren't written well, I could care less what the story is. Whereas on the opposite side, a story can be like fine, like passable, but if the characters are written well, I am immediately invested. And that is how you win my heart with storytelling, is characters that are likable and interesting and different and have their own journeys. And, you know, obviously there's a level of it being interwoven, but if you have good character, like that is a huge like selling point for me.
So you like character-driven plot as opposed to plot-driven characters.
Correct. Yes.
I think most of the people who like love story would agree with us, because I also agree with you, and I'm sure you too.
Yeah, and I think like fandom in general, where a lot of fandom is built on like franchises or like multi-seasons, where you have the time to really develop character. Whereas with, you know, one-off stories, the plot is more important generally, because you only have enough time to win people over, where you don't have a lot of time to develop character. The story has to be good. If you're looking at like 2 hours of content, the story has to be good. You have to write good characters, yeah, but you don't really have as much time for a huge amount of growth or development.
You know, that's why I like the movie San Andreas, which is like a weird, like, it's an action film. Like it's like a the world is ending film, but it has The Rock in it. The movie is about the characters. You remember a lot more of the characters than you remember the world ending. When it comes to action films like that, I don't rewatch those all that often. And that's just one of those that I do because the characters are so good. And I think also The Rock is just like amazing. I really like Dwayne.
I can always count on him.
He can count on himself, and everybody else can count on him. I love him. Jack Black also is just one of those guys that you can count on.
Love Jack Black. What an icon.
I would rather have Jack Black play all the characters that Chris Pratt ever plays.
Period. Star-Lord, he would be perfect.
We would live in a much better universe if that were the case.
Oh, Jack Black supremacy. We love him.
Well, on that note, I do have to ask, what are some things that you absolutely don't like about interacting with fandom on the platforms that you're on?
Oh, well, the people that go, well, actually, I could pretty much do without anyone who responds to anything by saying, well, actually, even if you're right, like, it's such I think the condescension, just like any sort of like negative behavior or feeling of superiority, people that think that like their ships are automatically better than someone else's without like any real like evidence. Like it's all everyone's opinion. Like nobody really cares as long as you're not like shipping anything like gross or like illegal or anything, like, you know, whatever. But like people that are like, well, I actually like pepperoni better and it's the best ship and you can't convince me otherwise, so there. Because there are people that say that jokingly of like Stucky, I will die on this hill, and that like that's like funny. But then there are people that are like, actually pepperoni is the best ship in the entire MCU, and anyone who says otherwise is actually fucking stupid. And I'm like, okay, well, please relax. We're all here because we enjoy this, you know, product together. People can have negative opinions, and I encourage people to critique whatever art they're consuming. You know, that's a huge part of making sure that like we hold creators accountable and like all that stuff. Like if you fucking loved the first Thor movie, like good for you. It did not rock my boat, but you enjoy it and you enjoy it. Good. But I'm going to tell you, I'll be like, I didn't like it for these reasons. And I hope that you can respect that. You know, like if you present your critiques in a respectful way, I think that is awesome. But there are so many people that are like, Thor Ragnarok was the worst movie in the MCU, like blah blah, and I'm like, well,
the best one, you mean?
Yeah, period. It's my top 3. Taika Waititi is a fucking god.
Oh my god, Taika Waititi. Please, I think he's so fucking hot.
I remember watching What We Do in the Shadows
He's so
years
hot in
and
that.
years and years and years and years ago. And I remember seeing that movie. I watched it. I saw like a trailer for it on YouTube and I was like, oh my God, this is funny. And it was one of those things because it was an indie film and he was not well known at the time, about maybe like 6 or 7 years before he did Thor Ragnarok or something like that. But the success of this movie was kind of what like catapulted his career. But I remember seeing like the trailer for it and I remember seeing like, oh, you can watch the first 10 minutes of this movie. And I was like, I'm a broke college student. Let me see some things for free. And I watched it and I was like, oh my God, this is really fucking funny. And of course I have no, impulse control. I rented it. I bought it like immediately and I watched the rest of it sitting in my dorm room and I immediately was like, okay, now everyone needs to see this movie. It is so funny. It is so good. Again, if you haven't watched it, Halloween's right around the corner. What We Do in the Shadows, it is in season, directed by Taika Waititi. He also stars in it with Jermaine Clement, who is another comedy genius from New Zealand.
Flight of the Conchords is,
he also is
so funny.
Oh, so good.
My God. I'm David Bowie, Jermaine.
He's so good. And he's in so many, like he has like small roles in like different comedy films. And he was also the fucking crab in Moana. Shiny. Absolute icon. He stars in it. And it's just really enjoyable. It's a really funny film. It's a mockumentary about vampires living in New Zealand. It's fucking absurd. And there's like werewolves that they have like a turf war with, but they're like all kind of dorks. Like they're like, they don't actually know how to fight anyone. Like it's really funny. It's really good.
Fun little fact that I saw on Tumblr. In that movie, there's also like just a regular human dude. I think his name's Greg in the film. Stu.
Yes.
Well, Stu, in real life, not in the shadows, he worked on Thor Ragnarok, and he was the guy who created that really interesting strobing effect in Thor Ragnarok during those memory scenes. He's the guy who created that really interesting, like, it's like the light is shifting constantly in those memories when they're thinking, when she's the Valkyrie, when she's remembering all of the other Valkyries dying. I just thought that was an interesting little side bit because Stu did that.
I love him. Oh, he's so funny. So in every comedy sequence you need like the goofball and
the straight man.
The straight man, exactly. So Stu is the perfect straight man. It's so funny too because I believe, and I might get this wrong, but I believe that he met Taika because he was the guy named Stu, who I think his real name is Stu as well.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's so funny. He was working in IT or computer like software development, either on the project or somewhere else, and Taika met him and he basically was like, you need to be in this film and you're going to play yourself. And in the movie, he is like a software developer or something, and he has to keep trying to explain his job, and nobody knows what his job is. And he talks in a monotone voice, and he doesn't raise his voice above this level. And then there's like, they're vampires, and they're unhinged, and there's like chaos happening around them, and then it's just Stu standing there, just kind of like not really sure of what's going on, not really sure how to act, like. Oh, and the other thing that's funny in this movie is that they like have a new vampire join the crew, but all of the vampires like Stu better than this new vampire.
What an absolute compliment to have a director meet you and they're like, I love your personality so much. I want you to be yourself in my movie.
I'm going to write you into my movie.
That's amazing. So do you have any like fandom related projects that are waiting in the wings on YouTube or somewhere?
Oh gosh. I know I have one I want to do about Hagrid. About how Hagrid was always the best father figure for Harry, and now like that's like a holiday season video. And there's a couple like cute ones I want to do of like who like which Marvel person would be the best boyfriend and like matchups between them. Yeah, so I've started that, and I have a couple more like rounds that I like have to do.
So Anthony Mackie would definitely be the best. Sam Wilson would definitely be the best boyfriend out of all of them.
No, literally. Okay, no. So not to spoil it, but like that is like I have him and T'Challa as like the final where like I'm having such a hard time. I'm gonna have to figure out which one is best. I'm leaning more towards T'Challa just because I love his presence and his grace.
Think about how Sam Wilson is available.
Oh, he's so available.
And also his grandma. She's super nice.
The point I made for T'Challa was that he's respectful, he's kind, he's strong, but like
all Sam Wilson too.
All Sam Wilson too, of course. But like when he knew what he needed to work on in his relationship with Nakia, he worked on himself, and that shows maturity, love, mutual respect, admiration, and like the fact that this man would just absolutely worship you, like king in every sense of the word. Like I love T'Challa, but I love Sam too. Like they're both such incredible men. I want to do another video of like ranking all the Harry Potter movies, which is gonna be such a fucking long video. Like I'm excited.
Top one, Prisoner of Azkaban.
I love Prisoner of Azkaban so much, and it's not just because I love Sirius Black. While he is certainly a contributing factor, that is not the only reason that I love Prisoner of Azkaban.
It's just the most beautiful one out of all of them. Director of photography, chef's kiss.
It's so good.
That is so funny that we both agree on very specific things. B, do you also agree? I need your opinion on this.
On the best Harry Potter movie?
Yes.
I would have to go back and rewatch all of them, and I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to respectfully agree because you both seem better informed than me.
That is such a you answer. Oh my gosh.
I love that. That's amazing. I remember watching that movie in the theater for the first time, and just like the way it made me feel when I left of this, like it was heartbreaking but uplifting, and it was beautiful and sad, and like
how old were you when it came out?
How old was I?
I was like 7.
I was like 7.
We're the same age.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Bless.
Well, I feel like we have talked about literally so many fandoms.
I'm telling you, have me back whenever you want, because I could keep going.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. Do you mind sticking around while we do Rec Corner?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Okay. Cool. Rec Corner!
So, my rec this week is called Fluff by More Than Slightly. It is in the Avengers fandom, and the idea is that Thor brings this Asgardian animal to the tower for Jane to study, and it gets loose in the tower. And the big problem is that anybody who touches this thing gets, like, super loopy and cuddly, and so they're trying
Sex pollen animal?
No, it's just, you just want cuddles. This is not sex pollen, you just want cuddles, and you get really goofy. And so Steve kind of stumbles into this dilemma and has to go, him and Bucky and a whole bunch of other people in the tower have to try and grab this thing without actually touching it in order to get it back to Thor to take it back to Asgard. And
did somebody touch it?
Oh, lots of people touch it. Tony touches it, Pepper touches it, Jane touches it.
No.
People sort of slowly keep getting knocked out of the count because they keep touching it and then like wanting to go cuddle someone. They're like, no, we're gonna go curl up in a corner and cuddle. Like, we have no interest in this anymore.
So cute!
It's adorable because it's not super long, but it's essentially just like a chase fic where they're going on this mad chase all around the tower, but it's super duper low stakes because the worst thing that's going to happen is this thing just sort of lives in the tower until they can catch it and nothing terrible happens. But the thing that I really like about it is there's a part, I wouldn't call it an epilogue because I believe it's just a one shot. They have a part at the end where they don't get rid of this thing. They keep it because they realize that it has actually some really strong therapeutic value for a whole bunch of PTSD-ridden superheroes. That having the ability to just on command relax and just want to have a good time is great.
Aww. Talk about like going the extra mile with fan fiction and being like, here's a real world purpose for this that can better the world. Like, I love that.
It's very funny. It's very sweet.
Love it. My rec is Radioman by Footloose. So Radioman is a Merlin fic, and oh my god, it is one of the best fics I've ever read. It's, I think, around like 58k, and B recced it to me. Thank you very much, B, for telling me about this. So, okay, it's a modern AU where Arthur is the leader of this like special ops group called the Excalibur.
Oh my god, I already love it.
I know. And they keep losing, not like they're not dying, but like just they keep having a string of poor radio men, or like a guy that is like makes all of the communications between the team work wherever they go. And Merlin gets assigned to their team. Oh my god, please read it. There are many parts to it. So though this may be like just like one fic and it's only like one chapter, it's a one shot, it's like a part of a series. Somehow the author wrote novel length fics, like 5 novel length fics in 1 year. I don't know how they did it. It is so good. Please read it and then read all of the rest of them in a week like I did. Anyway, in the show notes, there will also be a rec from Skully, if you're interested in that. But yeah, Skullie By The Sea, thank you so much for talking with us about all of these wonderful characters and fandoms and ships and tropes and everything.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute delight. Please literally have me back whenever. This was so much fun. I had such a great time. And yeah, it was an absolute blast.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think that's it. I think we're done.
I guess we'll see y'all next week on
Fangirls Anonymous. Bye!